Alright, once again we are back for another episode of the Poncho's Paint Booth. This time my one of my commission sources came through again, and well, I'll just show you. For this week, we're going to be painting up the Adeptus Custodes Aquilon Terminators. Now these guys, they're a lot like I fucked up already. They're a lot like the Alaris Terminators, but they're also very different. As you can see, for one, they got this huge-ass eagle up here, which is even bigger than the other one that the Alaris have. And then these guys, their loadout is a little bit different. Instead of having like the big axe or a spear, depending on how you want, these guys have the storm bolter and a big old fist. Which this isn't the only option that they can come with. They can also come with like a big flamer stick and a claw instead of a fist. But yeah, these guys were, I believe this was actually the first version of these two models that came out. And these guys are actually from Forge World, which is kind of a side company from GW. And as you can see, I got 60 of these guys, but I won't make you, I'll kind of work on them all at the same time, but I won't make you suffer through. We'll only do half at a time, at least on the video. So now, as you guys should hopefully remember from my previous videos doing these commissions, the first thing that he wants us to do is to paint up all the armor with Seraphim Sepia and get the nice kind of a golden reddish shade going. And this, of course, brings out the detail in the recesses and the negative spaces of the armor, of the model, I should say. So let's go ahead and get that started. Alright, so that is the first major step in this commission with these guys. We got a nice coating of Seraphim Sepia pretty much all over the model, except for the parts that don't need it, of course. And that is going to give us a lot of detail in pretty much all the major surfaces of the model whenever it comes into focus. There we go. So, you all know the drill. We're going to go ahead and let these guys sit for a while and dry before continuing on to the next step. Alright, so the next task to work on with these guys is to start working on the browns on these models. And now since they're Terminators, there's slightly less than the regular Custodes guys. Since they don't really have like any, well, they don't have gloves, they have actual gauntlets, so I don't have to worry about that. But the first color, well, the two colors we're using is we're going to be using our favorite, our chocolate, our chocolate brown, and that's going to be the color of the dirt around the rocks on the base, as always. And then I'm also going to be using it for these tassels that sit between their legs there. And then we are going to go in with our English uniform. And what that's going to be is that's going to dry brush over the dirt to give it some extra texture. And then, of course, to fill in the rim of these bases. So let's just go ahead and get started with our chocolate. Alrighty, so we got our browns in on these guys, so that's primarily the bases. And I'm not sure if the client used the same, I think he used the same like base company or whatever, but I actually like these ones a lot better because as you can see, whenever this comes into focus, if it does, well, the texture on the actual dirt isn't as deep, as porous as the ones in my previous commissions with this particular commission is. So it's been easier to paint. Yeah, so in a second we're going to start doing the rocks. Alright, so now we're going to continue with the bases as we've been doing with the previous videos with this commission. And so now what we're going to do is the big old rocks on the base. And to do this, we got our three colors. First, we're going to start with a base coat of somber gray. This is going to give us our primary color of the rocks. Next, we're going to do a heavy dry brush of cold gray. And what that's going to do is it's going to break up the, it's going to add more pattern to the rocks and kind of, well, like I said before, like just this color by itself, it'll literally look like polished concrete, and this kind of gives it more of a rougher texture. And then, of course, at the end, we'll do a light dry brush of, I want to say this was Stonewall Gray. The label's a little worn out, so I can't actually read it. But that'll give us the bright edges all around the rocks. So, first things first, somber gray, and away we go. Alright, so I got the base color, or the base coat of the rocks done, and I don't know how well you can see from here, but I'm noticing that the material of it is a little hard to see, but I'm noticing that the material that these bases are on, or maybe it's the primer, somehow is not quite absorbing the paint as fast as I'm used to, so I'm actually going to let these this work that I've done here now sit for a second, let it dry for a little bit, and then I'll go back in and attack it with the dry brushing. Alright, so that is the rocks are done on these guys. As you can see, we got the color in. We broke it up with the cold gray, and we got some detail on the edges. And since I have been working on the other three guys off camera at the same time, just because I wanna get this done as fast as I can. Honestly, I'll go ahead and do the edges up on these ones really quick. And fortunately, it looks like, at least with the dry, well, now that I have the base color on, then the paint seems to be going on as it normally does. And then, of course, dry brush is never wet to begin with anyway, so. Come on. And this last detail doesn't take up a lot of time, fortunately. And I might need more paint. See, almost done. one guy left. Just needs a little bit more detail on the edges here. I don't want to put out any more paint, so I'll try and just grab the outsides here real quick. And the inside, I guess. There. Bases are done. Cool. Are you listening to this show and thinking, man, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't even know where to start? Well, Buzzsprout has the answers for you. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides a number of valuable resources to help you on your podcasting career path. For one, Buzzsprout offers indefinite hosting of all your episodes and allows you to host as much material as you want, depending on the type of subscription that you opt for. Buzzsprout also provides a means for getting your show hosted to every major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. In addition, Buzzsprout also provides various means to get your show monetized through various sponsorship and affiliate programs, links to other paid hosting platforms such as Patreon and YouTube, and your own personal newsroom to learn all the tips and tricks for optimizing your podcast for the greatest return on your investment. If you're hearing all this and you're still interested, you can go to my link below and receive an Amazon gift card for starting a podcast hosting subscription that you'll receive on the second billing period of your podcast journey. Everyone has something to share, and there's no time like the present. Join Buzzsprout today. Alright, so let's move on. We are now going to be dealing with the reds on these models. And it's really only in a couple spots, fortunately. It's not too much. It's really just these big plumes they have coming off of their backs. And then also getting a little bit more of a dry texture into these, what would you call them, laurels that they got hanging off of their belt, I believe. And to do that, our main color is, of course, flat red. That's going to be the base color of the plumes, and then the dry brush down here underneath. And then when we're done with that, we are going to dry brush a little bit of orange red onto the plumes to give them a little more color and make them stand out. So let's go ahead, get this out of the way now. Yes, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so that is the reds done. Like I said, we got the plumes. We added a little bit of detail onto the loin laurels, I guess. And as I have mentioned before, the orange, it doesn't stand out as much because the colors are very similar, but it does add a little bit of a pop to it. So, and I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of cleanup, but I will do that off camera. Alright, so now it is time to get to the weapons and the, whatchamacallit, the electronics, I guess, on these guys. And so what that is going to entail primarily is those areas are going to be covered with black primer. And then, let's see. So that's going to mainly be the guns, of course. And then there, some of these guys have knee joints back here. And then also these vents and knobs and stuff are going to be black. And then we're going to use our silver, or plata, silver paint to, well, that's going to be the base color of the guns. And then I'm going to dry brush it over the mechanics in the back, on the back of their torsos. So, starting off with the black, this is going to take a couple coats. Let us get right to it. Alright, got their silver down on these guys. Let's go ahead and finish off real quick with our Nuln Oil. So once again, in this case, it's just going to go on the guns because there really isn't a whole lot else that it's going to fit on. So we just get a nice, good slathering of this stuff to help fill in the cracks all over. Or all over on the guns anyway. And that'll also help us bring back some of the details that were covered up by the paint a little bit. But mostly just gives us a nice detailed, weathered kind of look, like so. I'll just do up these other two. Some on the top here. And of course the bottom. And a little bit on the front. Now I just got one left. Oh yeah. And just the top section on this gun. And we call that good. Now, there isn't a whole lot left to these guys, but as always, we gotta let our shade dry before we can do anything else. Alright, ladies and gents, the Aquilon Terminators are in their final moments of not being finished. We're going to go ahead and finish them now. So all that's left is to do the little blue gems, as you guys might remember from my previous videos with this commission source. And to do that, we're going to use our, well, not our, but their heavy blue paint. You can see that without the light there. Maybe. Whatever. Just take my word for it. Unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of these gems to do. Which means that this will be nice and quick. Set these aside. So there's really just a few gems on the hip plates, the elbow plates, and then of course on the shoulder pads in a couple spots. So got one right there, a couple in the middle front. That's not even a word. Or in the front of the shoulder plates. One right in the middle and the groin. Let's see. More hips, more elbows. I definitely gave myself a little bit too much paint. Well, maybe not, because I do still have the other. Well, there's a few of these guys that I got, so. So that's one guy, all finished already. Let's put him off to the side. Actually, I'll go ahead and do the rest of these right now. And there you have it. 6 Aquilon Terminator, Aquilon? Fuck, I don't really know how to say it. Aquilon. 6 Aquilon Terminators, all finished and ready to ship off to their happy owner. Let me come up to me for a bit. So, once again, that was another episode of the Ponchos Paint Booth. We did some more Golden Boys, and you know, I'm happy you watched. They're happy you watched them get made, finished. And as always, if you like this channel, I got plenty more videos for you in here. This was the 22nd episode of this, I want to say series, but it's never ending. It'll end when I die, but this is the 22nd episode, which means there are 21 videos already on this playlist alone for you to go check out, and there will be plenty more in the future. I've got a whole list of folders already, you know, kind of prepped and ready for them to come. All that's left for me is to, you know, paint stuff up. So, again, like and subscribe. Check out my little ad spot here at the beginning of the video, and of course also at the bottom of the video. Or not the video, description. However, and if you want to see more of me, also check out some of the other playlists that I got on here. I've got a couple of Gutsy Ass Gamer playlists, which is where it's basically just my Twitch feeds, where I take the recordings and, you know, show you the highlights and kind of speed through the lowlights. I guess you could say the dull parts. And then, of course, I also got the video form of my podcast on here, the Jankety Ass Podcast, which not only can you find it here, but you can also find it pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, be it, you know, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, pretty much everywhere. I'm still working on Pandora, but we'll get there. Yeah, so, and also follow Multi-Murdy Media on Instagram and on Facebook. You know, feel free to leave me a message, or, you know, just like and subscribe and use it to see what else I got coming out. Either way, stay tuned.